Well, we want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you, we're so excited about this evening's broadcast. It's just been phenomenal over these last couple of months. Just sharing from the blended family, the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, key tidbits on how to tweak it and get all out of the blended family experience that you so desire going into this. And I tell you, it's just been a wonderful experience. We've been in this blended family now for 19 going on 20 years, and it's just been phenomenal. We have 3 girls and 1 boy, and I tell you, God has just blessed our family tremendously. And I'm excited. Many of you saw last week, we had some hiccups as far as getting together. My wife, she was stuck on the train trying to get home. And so because of that, I had to do the broadcast all by myself. But thank God that we were prepared to share with you guys. And so I'm just excited to have her here with me on this evening. And I tell you, it's just been an awesome blessing. Anything you want to say, sweetie?
Good evening, everyone.
I tell you, yes. So let's give a recap of last week.
All right, the blended parents can be in a different place in the family. Just because you're in a blended family does not make you inferior to a first-time family. Love can't be forced. And these are just some of the points. Starting off, mutual respect may be a more realistic goal. Don't allow your past mistakes or indiscretions to limit you from having your best life now. And then also, without counsel, purposes are disappointed. But in the multitude of counselors, they are established. And that came from Proverbs 15:22.
And again, we always love to start off with the recap of the previous broadcast. And we just encourage you guys to go to our page and view those broadcasts. They're very insightful, very powerful. We've been getting a lot of calls, a lot of texts, a lot of emails in regards to the broadcast. People want to know our experience, what we did to acquire or to attain the level of success that we've attained, and what are some of the tools that we use to get to where we are. And so that's why we have this broadcast. We know there's a great need for this area, the blended family. As you can see, the dynamics of families are changing drastically and dramatically. And we just want to make sure that we are assisting and helping the blended family to be that pillar in our community as well as our world at large, so that we can impact the body of Christ as well as our local communities. Mm-hmm. And so we're just excited to just share with you guys. And so again, these recaps are just, we're sharing what we shared the week before, but we just encourage you to go again to our page and view the previous broadcast.
That's our Facebook page.
Our Facebook page, yes. That's why I got it here. And so what are some of the statistics that we're going to share today?
The first one is 1 out of 5 children have a learning, emotional, or behavior problem due to family system changes. Secondly, more than 1/2 of all youths are incarcerated for criminal acts lived in one-parent families when they were children. And then lastly, 1 in 10 grandparents are raising their grandchildren.
And so these statistics, sometimes we get statistics that seem a little alarming, then sometimes we get statistics that's just on point, like, okay, I love it, that's what I'm talking about. But it's just important to understand all the dynamics that go into the blended family. You know what I'm saying? With the first statistic that says 1 out of 5 children have a learning, emotional, or behavioral problem due to family system changes. And it's important when you go into this blended family that you understand, especially as parents and as grandparents and as extended arms in the blended family, that you impact more than just yourself. And so understanding that if we don't do this correctly, then we are part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Correct.
And so I wanted to share it because it's an alarming statistic to know that 1 out of 5 children have a learning, emotional, or behavioral problem due to family system changes. And of course, we know that the blended family is a family system change. But that's why we share the information that we share. That's why we do the research that we do, because we want to assist you in changing this statistic into a better statistic. And so it's important that you know this information, because to know better is to do better. Right. And so not only that, it says more than 1/2 of all youths incarcerated for criminal acts lived in a one-parent family when they were children. And that's not so much of an indictment, it's just a fact. And that's what statistics are. Statistics are facts. But facts don't necessarily make truth. Correct. And so that's why we're sharing this information, because we want to share the truth so that we can change the facts. When you get better truth, you get better facts. And so that's why we're sharing the information that we're sharing, and we're just so excited. Hey, what's going on, Chief?
Wait, say that again. Say that part again.
What's
about
wrong with
the truth and the facts?
Did you write that down?
That's why I said say it again.
When you get better truths, you get better facts. And so that's why we're giving you the truth so that we can change those facts.
Correct.
Because facts aren't always true. They're just facts. You know, and so that's why it's important to get these statistics so that we can get the proper information and we can know how to adjust and address those facts so that we can get the truth into the situation and we can change what the facts are presented to us.
Correct.
Did that work?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then it says 1 out of 10 grandparents are raising their grandchildren. And that's what's going to segue us into this particular broadcast, because I thought that was not so much alarming, but I just thought it just was interesting that 1 out of 10 grandparents are now raising their grandchildren.
Yeah, because grandparents are getting younger and younger every day.
Exactly.
When we were growing up, grandparents used to seem old, like 50, 60, 70. Now, you know, you got grandparents in their 30s. I was one. Yeah. Some in 20s. You were in the blended came and you were in your 20s. So
Exactly.
They're getting younger and younger every day.
I was locally the youngest grandparent in the state of Maryland.
Well, did you know of? You didn't? Did you research that? You didn't research that. You don't know that.
I'm sticking to it.
You don't know that.
I'm sticking to it. No, but it's just an alarm. It really, when you think about it, really is alarming. Yeah. That 1 out of 10 grandparents are raising their grandchildren. And so think about this. When you talk about the blended family, that's a whole nother dynamic for a blended grandparent to be raising a child. Mm-hmm. Because you may not be the biological. Mm-hmm. And so now you're forced or you're in a position where you got to make parental decisions. And you got to make decisions concerning growth and maturity and discipline and all these other things. And so there's a need for that community also to be built up. That community also to be encouraged, because there are a lot of grandparents, whether you're blended or not, you're dealing with your grandchildren. Yeah. And so, but nobody's, not saying nobody, but there are a lot of people that's addressing that. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that's out there pushing support for that dynamic. And so we just want to share with you guys on this evening that we're here with you and we're here for you, and that you too can be a success in that area. And I'm just excited to share with you guys. And so tonight we're going to talk about keys for being a successful blended grandparent.
That's good.
Keys for being a successful blended grandparent. So y'all, give us the first key.
Value yourself as a grandparent. Grandparents are wonderful resource people. You have a lot to offer, such as unconditional love, family history, and your life experiences. So share.
Exactly. So understand this. As a blended grandparent, you have to value yourself. understand that you bring great value to this dynamic, that you bring great value to this system. And so we want to encourage you to let you know that you are important, that you are valued, that you are loved, that you are appreciated, that you are needed. And you need to know that for yourself. Because sometimes a grandparent may not, especially a blended grandparent, may not see the value that they have. And just because that could be, that may not be your biological grandchild, that doesn't mean that the same love doesn't go out towards them. And that you can't love them and you can't cherish them, you can't nourish them in the same fashion. So first of all, we want you to understand that you are valued as a grandparent. And then not only that, understand that you are a wonderful resource. You are a wonderful resource. And that you have a lot to offer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, just the fact that they have a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge that they can just share. That's two of the most important things. Just the wisdom and knowledge that they can share and help someone else. And definitely the unconditional love. Because a grandparent's love is a total different love than even a parent and a child. It's like you love your children, but then when that grandchild come along, it's like an undescribable love that you have for that grandchild.
And you know, for a lot of grandparents, it's an opportunity, whether it's blended or not, it's an opportunity for us to do better. It's an opportunity for us to fine-tune some things that we may not have done properly or may not have done to the best of our knowledge or ability with our own children, that we can now impart it to our grandchildren so that they can be better beneficiaries of all that we have to offer and give.
Right.
And like I know, like with our grandchildren, oh man, I'm the best thing since chocolate milk. I'm the best thing since mom's apple pie. I'm the best thing since brown sugar. What else, baby? Tell me what I'm the best thing.
You gotta ask them. They gotta say it.
Say hey. See, that's the kind of response
they gotta give their own.
That's the kind of response you get sometimes when you get haters. You know what I'm saying? But my babies, they love me. They love me, and so
one of them on there now. Deja on there.
That's right. She said, "I'm always appreciated."
You're always appreciated. Love both. She loved both of you.
See, you're
both
hater.
of us.
And so again, you know, understand that you are appreciated, that you are valued, that you're a wonderful resource, and you give unconditional love. You know, they're as a grandparent, that's the greatest resource that you have is unconditional love. And so, what better way to make an impact on a child, especially in a blended family, is through unconditional love. They're already dealing with some dynamics as far as system changes and things of that nature. And so to be able to come into this dynamic with their grandparent and to receive unconditional love regardless. And I'll tell you, one person I saw do that, I mean, without fail, was my mother. When we got married, my mother showed, I mean, like, unconditional love. It wasn't a thing of, you know, as far as natural children or biological children or blended children, they were all hers. And so that's just the standpoint that she took. And it was easy for me to follow in those footsteps because I had such a great example to see what to do. Right. And so it's important as a resource, as someone that has the ability to change lives, to understand that you are valued, that you are important. And so understand that your love is unconditional, that you have family history, because there are a lot of things that that child may want to know. There are a lot of things that child may want to know about that blended parent that they may not get from that blended parent, but you can give them help and insight. They may want to know how were they when they were growing up. You know, what were their likes? What were their dislikes? You know, were they introverts? Were they social? You know, were they smart? You know, were they nerdy? All kind of different things that child may know. And as a blended grandparent, say it again.
You said want to know. They may want to know.
They may want to know, and as a blended parent, blended grandparent, you can assist them in getting an understanding. The Bible tells us in all our getting what? Get what? Understanding. And so it's important to help assist in that understanding so that this dynamic can be all that it was designed to be. what was the next point that we wanted to bring out?
Reserve judgments. Being negative with the child can serve to increase the child's sense of confusion, conflict of loyalties, and impact their self-esteem.
And so it's important to reserve judgments. You know, especially as a blended grandchild, they're already trying to work some things out. Mm-hmm. They're already trying to figure some things out, especially like if they preteens or teenagers. And so it's important to reserve judgments. It's important to understand that, hey, you're here to assist, you're here to help nurture, you're here to help build up. And so you want to make sure that you're part of the solution and not part of the problem. Mm-hmm. One thing that I love about our pastors, Dr. Mike and D.D. Freeland, is one of their statements is be solution oriented.
Right.
And it's too many times that we have people that's a part of the problem, but they don't have a way to bring a solution, or they don't want to address solutions. So understand, you don't want to go into this dynamic with judgments. You want to be free of judgments. You want to make sure that there's no negativity as it relates to the child. Mm-hmm. That you want to go into this position as a server, because they're already going through some things emotionally and psychologically, mm-hmm. and it's important for us to assist. I love we have an opportunity to help and to nurture one of our grandchildren, and so it's just been a phenomenal adjustment in our lives. She's just been such a joy, and the funny thing about it was, what did she tell you a couple weeks ago about me, sweetie? She what?
She love you.
She love me. But not that part though.
What part?
When she talked about I was fun.
Nice.
Oh, I was nice.
She said you was nice. She didn't know you were that nice.
And so it's important. Watch this. It's important that they know how nice we are.
Yeah, because you didn't always used to be nice.
Yeah,
really, not to.
No, I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? But I learned how.
Yeah.
It was important for me to be nice. It was important for me to be what my family needed in order to be a success, because I understood that I played a vital role in their growth. I played a vital role in their maturation. I played a vital role in all that God wanted them to be, and so I had to be nice. Mm-hmm. I had to understand that more is caught than taught. I could say a lot of things, but they were looking at my behaviors. And so when she came here, she didn't know I was that nice. She didn't know I was that cool. She didn't know, Dad was like that. And so, she hating because, we got that bond, and she working on some stuff. So
whatever.
So what she say about me?
I'm not saying it no more. Let's go to the next point. Thanks very much. Okay, go slow. See where your grandparenting skills are needed. Be prepared for the conflicts of the biological and blended feelings in you if there's more than one set of children. Read that over.
Yes, please. Let me read it. I said
you read it.
Go slow. See where your grandparenting skills are needed. It's important because there may be some things you want to do as a grandparent that may not be necessary. That may not be what's needed at that particular moment. So go slow. You don't have to give them all of you at one time. Mm-hmm. You're giving them all of you as it is, but go slow with that. Go slow with the advice. Go slow with the instruction. Go slow with the guidance.
Right.
Because you want to make sure that they're able to absorb and retain all that you're giving them. Right. And so go slow with it. And then be prepared for the conflicts of the biological and blended feelings in you if there are more than one set of children. And what that simply means is this: as a grandparent, especially as a blended grandparent, there may be a set of biological grandchildren and there may be a set of blended grandchildren. And so you have to understand that the same way you address the biological grandchildren, it's important to address blended grandchildren. You can't address them separately. You can't address one as if they're more important than the other. You can't address one as if they're more valued than the other.
Same treatment.
It's the same treatment for all. And so go slow with it. Make sure that you're giving out the same love, you're giving out the same care, you're giving out the same understanding, you have the same listening ear, you have the same compassion, you have the same understanding, you have all these different things that you have. Make sure that it's important to deal with them, because a lot of times there's an emotional attachment as it relates to the biological. And so there's a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings as it relates to the biological that people don't want to address, that they don't want to deal with at that specific time. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's important to make sure that you go slow. And so let's go to the next one, sweetie.
Recognize the dynamics of the blended. The blended family has its own special state of dynamics and behaviors. Once learned, the behaviors can become predictable and positive.
Exactly. So recognize that the dynamics, you have to recognize the dynamics of the blended, because it's a different dynamic. Again, you're bringing systems together, you're bringing two systems together, and you're making them one.
Right.
And then as the grandparent, you're bringing another system. And so now you have three systems coming in, trying to formulate one system, and it's important to understand your role. It's important to understand the importance of your role and how if you don't flow properly in that role, you could do more harm than you do good. And so it's important to recognize the dynamics of the blended, and then the blended family understand that the blended family has its own special state of dynamics and behaviors. There's different things that the blended family do. We talked about that in one of the earlier broadcasts, how my children were used to, especially my girls, they were used to spending a lot of time with the mom. They were used to, in the room with her, on the bed with her, and so when I came along, I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to being, my bed is sacred. My bed is all grounds. My bed is where the magic happened. And so I wasn't used to that,
Keep going, move past.
I wasn't used to that dynamic, and so, you're on my magic carpet, you get on my magic carpet. You're messing up my flow, that's my spot right there, slide over. And so, those dynamics were different.
Right.
And so as the blended grandparent, there's another dynamic that comes along. And so it's important to understand that. It's important to realize that. It's important to recognize that. So you too can now, because once you understand those things, you can flow better. You know what I'm saying? Once I got a real understanding of this dynamic, this blended system, it was easy for me to make changes. It was easy for me to make adjustments. Because one thing about me, I don't like to fail. I don't like to not be a success. And that's in everything we should desire to be successful. Everything we should desire to be on top. And so I wanted to be that number one dad, not a blended dad. I wanted to be that number one dad. And so it was important to me to work on the things that I need to work on, make the necessary changes that I need to make so that I can provide my family with all that they needed. And so now as a blended grandparent, it's even more important. It's like when my boys come along, guess what? We don't pound. We hug. We hug.
It's easier, though. It's easier in this process as a blended grandparent than in the beginning as a blended parent.
Yes.
Because of the process that we went through and everything that you learned. So now it's like you can just walk through the process without, a lot of issues that we dealt with back then. So It's a lot easiader now to just, flow with it.
For us, but what about the new blended family?
Right.
That now all out of the blue, you're now a blended grandparent. And you were used to the ex-spouse.
Right.
And you were used to the way things flow with them, but now now you got a whole nother system going on. And you got to deal with that attachment. You got to deal with those feelings and those emotions. And sometimes there's a level of maturity that has to take place so that the children don't suffer because of that old attachment, because of that old way of doing things. And so that's why we're sharing with you guys on this evening. Talk about the next point.
Listen. Be an impartial sounding board to your grandchildren. At times, they might just need someone to just listen to them.
Exactly. And that's important. That's important. Listen. Be an impartial sounding board for your grandchildren. At times, they just might need somebody just to listen. They just might need somebody to vent to.
Right.
There may be some things that you as the grandparent can deal with and can listen to and can hear that the parent may not be ready for. And so it's important just to be a lending ear. You know, I love to take my baby on rides with me. You know, I go places. I just ask her, does she want to ride with me? I do that because I want to break down that wall. I want to give her I want to make her comfortable with sharing with me. I want to make her comfortable with letting me know things that she's dealing with. Because the more I do that, the easier it is for her to express her feelings.
Right.
The easier it is for her to express her emotions that she may not want to express with her mom. She may not want to express with her dad. But because she knows that I'm going to show her unconditional love, she knows that I'm going to be there regardless of, you know, the right, wrong, or indifferent decisions that she make. Guess what? Now I play that role that I can now build her up. I can now encourage her. I can now impact her. I can now do what's need to be done so that she can be all that God designed for her to be. And so it's important to listen. It's important to be an impartial sounding board. You know, it's not, you know, and I just got this from my mom today. You know, sometimes, you know, just listen. You don't always need to give feedback. You don't always need to give your opinion. You don't always need to give your standpoint or your viewpoint. Just be someone that can listen, someone that can hear, and seek for understanding so that later on, if necessary, you can give input. Right. You can give direction. You can give instruction. And so, what's the last point we want to go through, sweetie?
Regardless of the situation that brought you into this dynamic as a blended grandparent, be honest with those feelings, whether it's from divorce or loss. However, disappointed or angry as you may be, holding on to those feelings can put your influence as a blended parent in serious jeopardy.
As a blended grandparent.
As a blended grandparent. I'm sorry.
So regardless of the situation that brought you into this dynamic as a blended grandparent, be honest with those feelings. And a lot of times, you know, we find out that people bottle feelings up. They bottle their emotions up and they don't want to express them. It's you know, there's nothing wrong with having attachments. There's nothing wrong with liking how something used to be. But understand, if it's no longer that way, it's no longer that way.
Correct.
And so deal with it, express it, and then move on. Because you play such a valuable role that you're hindering the next generation from receiving all that you have for them to get, all because you won't deal with those feelings. You won't deal with those emotions. And I tell you, we've been blessed on both sides of the family not to deal with that. You know, it's been a wonderful transition for us when we came into this blended family dynamic, because we didn't have to deal with those attachments. We didn't have to deal with those feelings and those emotions. You know what I'm saying? But there are a lot of people that do. Correct. There are a lot of people that are experiencing that, and it's like hell on wheels. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to move past that. So we just want to be encouragement to that blended grandparent. Hey, you know, we understand that this is something that you were used to, you know, whether it's divorce, whether it's loss, you know, but on the same token, they need you. Right. They need your resource. They need your value. They need your input. They need you to now address that, now to deal with it, and now move beyond that so that now they can reciprocate all the love. They can now reciprocate all the wisdom. They can now reciprocate all the knowledge and understanding and guidance that you're supposed to bring to this dynamics so that now they can be productive. Now they can be successful. Because understand, if you don't do your role, your part, then now they got to look to somebody else to do that. Right. I don't want my babies looking to somebody else to pour into them. I don't want them to look to somebody else to instruct them, to guide them, to nurture them. I want them to know that they can always count on me. They can always call me. Whether I can do something, whether I can't do something, just know that I'm there. Right. Just know that I'm there, that I'm not going to judge them, that I'm not going to condemn them, but that I'm going to love them. Because the Bible tells us that love covers. And so because if I love properly, I can cover wrong. And I can now adjust, my love can now adjust whatever's necessary to be done so that they can now make the necessary changes. And so I'm just excited for this broadcast. I tell you, it's just been exciting. We thank you guys for just viewing us, just tuning in to us. I tell you, this In the Blender has just been an awesome thing. Listen, if you have any questions, if you want us to address a situation, a concern, a topic, send what, baby? Send an email. To where?
We are a blended family at gmail.com.
Again.
We are a blended family at gmail.com.
I tell you, we just love the emails. We love the texts. We love the Facebook posts you guys have been giving us. And so, again, if you have any questions, you want us to address anything, hit us up. We are a blended family at gmail.com. And I tell you, we will make sure that we address those, that we make sure that on our upcoming broadcast that we will take the time to visit your questions, your concerns, your topics, so that we're here to assist. We're here to help grow. Right. We're here to help, we talk in our ministry, we have Marriage Made Easy. Mm-hmm. And so with Marriage Made Easy, we understand that families are made easy. Right. And so that especially blended families, they're made easy. And so we want to just play our role and our part in assisting our ministry gifts to build families, to touch families worldwide. We thank you guys for viewing us. Yes, we love you. Until next Tuesday, God bless and see you then.
Love all of you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
See you, Deja.